Welcome all our Torah Anytime viewers. Now we'll speak a little bit about this week's coming Parashat Toldot. Now, if you look at in the Psukim, right in the beginning of the Parashat, it says something very, very interesting. The way that it presents the story of Yitzchak and Rivka praying for the children. The second pasuk in this week's Parashat speaks about and saying the genealogy where Rivka came from. She came from the daughter of Bisuel, the sister of Lavan, and everything else that where she comes from. The next pasuk says that they prayed. Yitzchak and Rivka prayed. Why did they pray? Because they didn't have any children. They didn't have any children, so they prayed for a child. But how did they pray for a child? They prayed opposite each other. And then the Torah says that he was answered. She got pregnant, but why did she get pregnant? Because of Yitzchak. Because the actual lashon is vayater lo Hashem. So because of him, she got answered. Then the pasuk goes on that she was walking, and this is very famous. And there were they made some sort of shuffle in her stomach when she walked in front of a makom tumai, impure place. They started kicking and trying to come out. And she walked up makom b'kedusha. She walked up in front of a bet midrash. Again, they started kicking and coming and trying to come out. And it says over there afterwards, it says in Rashi, what was the whole thing going on? Oh, before even going to Rashi, so she went and she says, what's going on over here? So she went to ask from the rabbis. She said, listen, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. I'm going to a holy place, the baby's trying to come out. I'm going to a non-holy place, the baby's trying to come out. Makes no sense. What's going on? So the rabbis told her, it says, you have two nations inside of you. I says, two nations inside of you. And then you look at Rashi over there, it says that from one of them is going to come out Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who wrote the oral law, and then also is going to come out from Esav, is going to come out Antininus, which was a Roman Caesar, emperor, whatever he was. So now, that was the story, but now let's ask a series of questions on the story. Number one is, we know where Rivka came from. We know she came from Bisuel, we know she came from Laban. Why is it telling me this again? Question number two is, why did you tell me that they prayed opposite each other? What's the opposite each other? But they prayed. What's ve'atelo, the opposite? And I'm sorry. And then what's ve'atelo? And then after that, the third question is, why are you telling me that God answered because of Yitzchak? So keep it a secret. It doesn't happen. Imagine like this. Imagine like there's somebody who's really sick and they're about to pass away. And you have a group of people come in and they fast all day and they say Tehillim all day. And then the guy miraculously makes it better. And then an angel comes down, and it says, by the way, all your tefillos, whatever, didn't matter. There was one guy in the corner, because of him it answered. So you just shot everybody's self-esteem down the toilet. Right, okay, so my tefillot don't help. So why are they answering? Why are we telling us that he got answered because of Yitzchak? That's question number 3. And question number 4 is how is that so she came over to she came over with a question. Her question was, I'm going in front of a church or whatever, it wasn't a church back then. I'm going in front of a place of idol worship, they're trying to come out. I'm going at a place of Torah, they're trying to come out. Then what did they answer? Oh, there's two nations inside of you. You don't have you have twins. And she says, oh, okay. Yeah, one's gonna be a big murderer and the other one's gonna be an amazing tzaddik. And she says, oh, thank you so much. And I'll clarify. How is that a good answer? How is that answer be like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. As a mother, I feel very comfortable with that. Like, how is that something that satisfied her quest for things? I don't know how backwards. If anything, things are backwards now, and we're straight back then.
Sometimes you gotta take the bad with the good right now.
So we'll speak about that. So the answer is like this. The answer is, I'm going to try to answer these questions in the.
Any sort of Ruach HaKodesh at that time?
Who?
Her, Rivka. She wasn't on that level to understand some stuff.
Even if they had Ruach HaKodesh, doesn't mean they had Ruach HaKodesh and everything.
No, I understand, but she didn't get that she has twins.
She didn't get that she had twins. She thought, and we'll soon see why, and soon see how.
Back then.
What? They didn't have ultrasound. No, they didn't. They did not have that. So to answer these questions, let's start off with this. Yitzchak and Rivka, they were each praying. You know what it says? They were praying opposite each other. They were each praying for something else. They were praying for a child, but they were praying for a different type of child. They had a question over here, and they had sort of not a disagreement, but each one had their own views. Yitzchak said, "Listen, in this world, he says I'm going to pray for either a righteous man completely, or a righteous child, I'm saying completely, or a wicked child completely. Give me one or the other. Don't give me someone who's like chatzi, half and half. Give me something who's completely righteous or completely wicked." And Rivka saying, no. He says, I'll take the chatzi. It's better. Give me half wicked, half righteous. And the reason for that is Yitzchak, his personality, his ideology is he was din. Everything is black and white. That's the way it is. And he says, listen, if somebody's completely righteous, good. I'm success. I'm a winner. And the child's going to be a righteous person. If the child is going to be so wicked, then it's not so bad either. Why? Because when somebody's so bad all the time, he knows that he's bad. If he knows that he's bad, he's going to be able to do tshuva. He's going to be able to come back. As opposed to if you tell me somebody who's like half and half, He'll be like, this guy is going to be like, yeah, he'll justify things. In fact, this is what Eliyahu Navi, had the whole story where he came and the Jews were serving idols and then they went to learn Torah. It was a crazy thing. And he says, you got to pick one. And in fact, it sounds so crazy nowadays in a lesser extent, but it's the same idea. You have people come learn Torah, and then they go to bars, and then they go, hang out in these things, and movies and TVs and all this nonsense. Don't go guard their eyes at all. And so you have people in both worlds, and those type of people generally don't change. Why don't they change? I'm learning Torah. I'm a good guy. I go pray 3 times a week. They feel themselves as a good guy. And so they will never change. Yitzchak says, I don't want that. He says, give me somebody who's completely good or completely bad. Because if someone's completely bad, that we could change. He knows that he's bad. He's going to have a chance for it. Rivka, on the other hand, said, listen, she says, I've come from pretty bad. I've come from all bad. Bisuel, Lavan, I know what all bad is. He says, I don't want that. He says, I'd rather have half and half. Give me somebody who's half and half.
Why is she wrong, though?
And then, no one said that she was wrong.
So why was he answered?
No, so you'll soon see. So she goes and she says, give me someone who's half and half. Why someone who's half and half? Because then the good will hopefully influence the bad.
If he's about Shabbat,
So,
right? Because he tasted both worlds.
Generally, yes, but you don't want to go and say, okay, let me do a sin so I can become about Tshuva and then so it'll be a higher level.
Oh, but make my son a Rasha so he can do Teshuvah?
No, that's not. It's God forbid. They're not asking for their children to be Rashaim or wicked people, but they're saying if there's an opportunity, I'd rather this. Why? Because the end goal, I would be able to achieve tzaddik at the end of the day.
Why not just strive for tzaddik? Why did they even mention the word, the idea?
Because they knew that it was going to come out.
So
they knew that it was something was going to come out because you saw like Abraham, Ishmael, Yitzchak, and Ishmael. They knew that there was going to be some sort of bad influence in it, and they said, okay, let's see where we can direct it. That could be the most beneficial for this child. That could accomplish the most spiritually.
Just prayed purely good. I want this child to be 100% righteous. They should have. Imagine they both prayed for that.
Don't you think that if they could have, they would have?
I'm sure they could have, but maybe they really didn't want. For some reason, they didn't.
I don't know. Maybe that you have to speak to a Kabbalist to see, like, I think, at all the levels of why they did it this way. But this is what it says that they said.
In reality,
right. Obviously, when you're praying nowadays for your child, you pray for your child to be in a completely. Don't say give me chatzi. No, you want full tzaddik, obviously. But on our level, that's what we do, and on their level, that's how they presented it. So now let's start answering the questions. The questions was why are they davening opposite each other? The answer is very simple. They're davening for two different things. Yitzchak said, no, give me this. This is going to be better. Rivka said, no, give me this. That's why it says where she came from. You know why it says where she came from? Because that influenced her decision of what type of person to daven for. She says, no, now I want the guy to be half, or the child to be half righteous, half wicked, because then the righteous, because I've come from wicked. I've come from Bisuel. I've come from Lavan. I know that. I don't want that. And Yitzchak was the other hand. He came from complete righteous. He says, no, black or white, give it to me. So now the question is, it says that we asked, then it says that, why are you telling me that he was answered as opposed to her? And now it makes it very simple. He says, you know what he was answered? Because God said, he says, you know what type of child I'm going to give you? A child like a Yitzchak prayed for, either completely good or completely bad. So that's what it says, that he was answered. He was answered of what type of child that will be. So now comes the next point, and she says, and she goes to the rabbis and says, Lama ze'anochi, what's going on in my stomach? She says, I thought that he was answered. If he was answered, then it should be either righteous or wicked. Why is it when I pass by a righteous place, it always gets kicked? And why is it when I walk by a wicked place, I always get kicked? It makes no sense. It looks like I got answered, because I asked for half and half. And he asked for complete and complete. So it doesn't make any sense. So what did they answer? Oh, no, there's two nations inside of you. There's two nations inside of you. One's completely righteous and one's completely wicked. And then she said, okay, now it makes a little bit more sense. But now we still have the fourth question that we didn't answer. The fourth question we know it says from the Rashi brings down, it says, oh, you know why that, what happened that, from Yaakov and Esav, who comes out of them? You have Yaakov, Yekam, Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, who put together the oral law. And then you have out of him, have Esav, you have Antoninus. I think that's how you pronounce it, Antoninus. Yeah.
Was he a Greek god?
No. He was I don't know if he was the Caesar, the Roman emperor. He was something high in the government official.
He made like laws. And
Yeah. Well, so we'll soon see how. So the idea behind this is first of all, the question is that why out of all the generations to come you pick them? First of all, why pick Antoninus? There's so many righteous converts that you could have picked. There's so many people that were righteous that you could have said, okay. At Rabbi Sav, you have the converts, all the converts. So you have Unkelos, you have Rabbi Meir, you have a lot of righteous converts that made it into the Tanaim, Amorim, in the Gemara. Yeah. So why are we picking the person who is like the emperor? So the answer is like this. It says in Gittin, in page 60b in Gittin, it says like this. It says Rav Yochanan said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God, made a covenant with the Jews. Only because of the oral law. Solely because of the oral law. Now, why? What's so special about the oral law? If you ever realize, the oral law stayed oral for quite some time. It stayed oral and it was not written down. And why was it not written down? Because this way the other nations are not able to steal it and take it. And how do we see how smart that it was oral? Because now look at the written law. The written law now became the Old Testament to everybody else. Had we put the oral law inside writing beforehand, who knows what would have sprouted after that? The Christianity, and it would have been very similar religions. Now it's completely different because they didn't have the oral law.
Completely different. It's still
But they took everything from they took everything from that. But the idea was it was kept separate. When it was kept separate, it was kept separate until Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi came and he said, listen, he says, if I start keeping it, I'm sorry, not kept separate, it kept oral versus written. He says, now I have to write it down. Why do I have to write it down? Because if I don't write it down right now, it's going to be forgotten. So he had to go and he had to write it down. And now ever since the Roman occupation in Israel, they didn't have the control, the ability to write the whole oral law until Rebbe came. When Rebbe came, besides the fact that he was very influential, he has a very, very close relationship to Antoninus, to the Roman emperor over there. And because of that, he was able to formulate and write the oral law. Now it's very interesting and how that came about. The back end story of Antoninus and Rebbe. There's a lot to say about it, but I'm going to keep it brief. The Antoninus and Rebbe met a long time ago when they were little babies. When they were little babies, the Roman emperor, the Roman government, whatever was at that time ruling in the Judea, or wherever it was that Rebbe was alive and was born, they went over and they said no brit milah, no circumcision, you cannot circumcise. That's it. There's nothing, and if you do, it's punishable by death. So the father of Rebbe was born, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was born, and his father gave him a brit milah. So the person in charge of that vicinity saw this. And he saw it giving the brit milah. He says, "That's it. I'm taking you to the Roman emperor." And he dragged him to the Roman emperor, dragged him all the way up to the Roman emperor, and they had to travel to get to there. While they were traveling, they stopped by an inn. And when they stopped by an inn, the owners of the inn also had a baby boy. They're just about the same age as this one, a few days old. And they said, "Listen, she saw what was going on. She said, listen, I see that if you take your baby's going to die." He says, "Why don't we trade babies? Let's trade babies. You go show them that your baby is uncircumcised, and then you come back, we'll trade back." So Rebbe's mother said, "Fine, I'll do it."
Was Antoninus bad? I'm just curious. Was he bad?
No, he wasn't bad. So he said, "Fine, we'll do a switch. Let's do the bait and switch." So they go and they switch the babies. Now the governor who was accompanying them didn't realize that it was a switch, and he kept on. Babies all look the same. People come and say, "Oh, who does he look like?" Looks nothing. Looks like a morphed mutant that came out. Doesn't look like anybody yet. So he's like, "Oh, it looks like a father." Like, really? So you told me the father looks like a mutant? So but it's funny. He goes, "Oh, he has your nose." Okay. So but the idea is that so they weren't able to tell. So they switched the babies and they brought it to the Roman governor. They brought it to the Roman governor. The governor says he opens up the diaper, whatever they had back then, and he says, "What are you talking about? It's uncircumcised." He says, "Look at it." And the Roman who brought him, he said, "I saw with my own eyes them circumcise it." So the Roman emperor at that point said, "Listen," he said, "with these Jews, you see God does all these crazy miracles." From that he had abolished the decree that you're not allowed to have a brit milah, you're not allowed to have a circumcision. So afterwards they went back and they switched the babies back again. Now when they switched the babies back again, the babies, I guess, I don't know if you could call it play dates, but they sort of kept in contact. And that baby who they switched it just so happens to be that it was the baby that was Antoninus. It was Antoninus' mother who owned the inn that they or the hotel that they stayed by, and they switched the babies and they kept in contact. And when they kept in contact, in fact, the stories are that the Gemara brings down that Antoninus literally he had a cave that was connecting to Rebbe, and he used to go learn Torah from Rebbe. He used to go and serve Rebbe. In fact, he would bend down on the floor so Rebbe could step on his back to get onto his bed. And Rebbe said, "Listen, it's not honorable. You're the Roman emperor. I'm going to step on your back to get there." And he answered back. He says, "I'd rather serve you in this world so I could even get somewhere in the next world near you." That's what this Roman emperor, how highly of esteem he held Rebbe.
So he didn't hold to the standards of no brit milah.
He was very good for the Jew. That's why, because of that close relationship, Rebbe was able to gather all the chachamim, all the sages, and he says, "Okay, listen." He gathered. This is our only chance. Now that I have this close relationship and we're able to do it, let's do it now. So he gathered all of them, and they brought together this the oral law. They actually wrote down the oral law that we have today, the Mishnah. The Mishnah came from them. So comes back. We look in our Parashat and answers beautifully. It says, "You want to know why?" It says specifically Antoninus and Esav. It comes from Esav and Yaakov comes Rebbe. He says because there's going to come a time that Rivka was worried. He says, "Listen," he says, "if I have one wicked and one righteous," he says, "what's going to happen if down the line the wicked is one going to take over the righteous?" So the Rashi says, "No." The Midrashim comes and says, "Listen, don't worry, because there's going to come out of the wicked is going to come out somebody Antoninus, and it'll come out of the righteous is going to come Rebbe, and because of that." they're going to put together the oral law, which will stay for the end of times, and the Torah will never be forgotten. So because of those two was what held it together. This is why specifically the Torah speaks about Antoninus and Rebbe. The Midrashim speak about it like that. Now we could go and look back and see our questions and see how it answers it beautifully. So we asked, number one, we asked that why is it that we said that she comes from, we know where she comes from. Why are you telling me in the beginning of the parasha she comes from Bisuel, she comes from Lavan? The answer is because that's what influenced her how to pray and what to pray for. Then we asked a question, says why do we daven opposite each other? And the reason why they said they literally daven opposite because they each were asking for something slightly different in their request for what type of child they're going to be. And then it says that he answered Yitzchak. He says, do you want to know why I answered Yitzchak? So to let them know, says what type of child it's going to be inside of you. Which brought them to the question, it says if I have this child that's either all good or all bad, then how come when I walk by bad and I walk by good, they're both kicking? It sounds like Rivka was answered. So then right, it's kicking, but they didn't know it was both yet, right? So then the answer is because she went over and she asked the sages and they told her there's two nations inside of you. There's two nations. And that made completely sense.
Do we know?
Yeah. It says it. I'll look it up over here. I'll tell you in a second. I want to just fit. Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll look it up. I think it's in Rashi. So, yeah. Shame and Hever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So listen, and we'll finish off with this idea on this topic. It says Rashi and Rambam also say that. It says where is that? It says, let's see if I can read it inside over here. Not Vayater. It says here it goes. Vayater. It is Vayater in the Rashi. It says Harbe vehiftzir betfilah. Yitzchak, they kept on davening. They prayed a lot. They didn't just, it wasn't like one prayer, okay, God, please answer me, and 3 steps back and take away. They kept on praying. Now we know that Yitzchak, he was known for tefillah. He was known that his thing was with tefillah. That we know it says in Bereshit chapter 24 verse 63, Yitzchak lasuach basadeh. He says he went out to the field. It says when Rivka was coming back and she saw him coming back from the field, he was coming back from praying. He was praying. Now lasuach is the numerical value of the Gematria is 318. Now there's 5 parts in the neshama. Here's a Kabbalistic part for you. There's 5 parts of the neshama. You have the nefesh, the ruach, neshama, chiyah, and yichida. If you take the first letter of each one of them, so you have the nun, it's nun reish nun chet yud. Nun reish, that's 250. Another nun, that's 300. Then you have chet, which is 8. That's 308. Then you have the yud, that's 318. 318, the same numerical value as suach. As we said, by Yetzei Yaakov lasuach basadeh, the same numerical value, 318, is the same numerical value. Because when Yitzchak was praying, he put everything, all of 5 parts of the soul into the prayer. He put everything in there. He gave everything God. And more than that, you take the numerical value of Yitzchak, which is 208. You take the numerical value of Rivka, which is 307. You get the numerical value of 516. Now, what do we know about something about prayer numerical value? We know Ve'et Hanan is what? 515. 515 is the tefillah. Yitzchak and Rivka gave it so much. He gave it everything. They went one above it. And that's why they were able to go and they were able to get and actually, begot children, if we want to speak art school language. Now,
but at the same time, 516 why did Moshe get to the 516?
Because he said Hashem told him not to.
Well, why did they get the honor to it? It's like decoding. That was the whole thing. If you got the 516, you're decoding.
So they were able to, and Moshe, it was not meant for him to be, and for them it was meant. Now this is going to answer another question. It answers that it says that Abraham was supposed to live until 180, just like Yitzchak. Now why did he die earlier? It says because he wouldn't witness Esav going off the derech, doing all the sins. So he died 5 years.
Good Esav?
What?
He started off a tzaddik.
But he started off as a regular kid. He didn't start off going bad until he was what? No, of course there were kids. It was. He would.
They married at 3 years old.
No.
They're not the same as kids. You know what I mean?
There is a different thing on that, but
They got married at 3. I think they got reserved.
yeah, they got reserved. It's more. We'll speak about that in a minute. You're talking about Rivka. What?
They weren't like fully grown once they born?
No. As far as I know, no. They didn't pop up like that. Was by Adam. By Adam, yes.
Things don't change.
By Adam.
Biology.
So, well, let's finish up here. I'm almost finished. Then we'll get the questions.
We were just telling you about babies a second ago.
Here, listen to this. We'll answer this question because it's a legitimate question because by the time of Adam it was different than the time we have it now. But in any case, the plan was that it says that Abraham he died at 175. Why? Because he shouldn't see Esav going off the derech, so he died 5 years earlier. But the obvious question: if Esav was supposed to live until 180? Very simple. Just make Esav and Yaakov be born 5 years later. Give Abraham his full years. And this way you won't see it. Why are we cutting it? You understand the question? Why are we cutting it short the other way around? And the answer is that was the plan. That was the plan. But Yitzchak and Rivka broke the heavens with their prayers. They broke it so much. God says, "What can I do?" They tied my hands. I gotta go. They got the baby earlier. So he got the baby earlier, and that's because they got that. That's why I went. This is the power of prayer. It's unbelievable. You can change the world with prayer. This is the idea. The small Dvar Torah I wanted to share with you on Parashat Toldot. Okay.